Well, greetings all, and welcome to our Washington Township regularly scheduled meeting for the Township Planning Commission this month. Monday, we had a special, so I have to make sure that we note that this is our regular Washington Planning Commission.
Just as special.
Just as special.
Is it though?
As our usual business, we'll stand and face our flag for a pledge.
What out of here?
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America,
and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Okay, now, our next order of business is an approval of the agenda. I get a motion.
So moved?
Support?
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, our agenda is approved. Roll call. Not much of a roll to call here.
Mr. Sacco?
Hello.
Mr. Miller? Mr. Jaskey?
Here.
Ms. Jacobson? Here. Mr. Thomas? Mr. Chaplin?
Here.
Ms. Hall?
Okay, very good, thank you. Approval of the minutes from May 8th. Anybody want to make a motion for that?
Motion to approve the minutes?
Support?
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. P3, any correspondence?
No correspondence.
No correspondence, okay. Here's kind of a special moment, public comment on non-agenda related items. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to say something? Not about our agenda today, but, you know, for the better or the good of all of us. Because I'm going to call on two individuals to do that for us this evening.
Sure, I appreciate that.
Not you, Ronnie. See, when you talk to yourself, what happens? We have two individuals. I wish they'd stand for us, and one at a time maybe come up to the podium. I understand they are interns. Interns with Spalding and Decker. Come on down. See, the camera can't see you back there, but can see you at the podium.
No pressure.
If you, yeah, well, they need a little pressure. They're entering our profession. And one at a time, maybe tell us your name and your major, where you go to school, and why you're going in that curriculum.
Hello, thank you for having us here.
Do you want to raise the microphone a little bit?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, pull that right up.
There you go.
Hi all, thank you for having us. My name's Neil. I'm a urban technology student at the University of Michigan. I'm about to finish up my senior year of my undergraduate program. Yeah, I'm interning with Spalding Decker. It's been a rewarding experience, and even this stuff can be interesting if you can believe it. So I'm happy to be here.
I can believe
Learn
it,
something.
Neil. When did you decide, you know, they say there's two things we always remember. When we're born, and then why we were born. When did you decide you were going to go into this urban activity?
When it took me 2 hours to walk to a bus stop in rural northwestern Metro Detroit. So I
That
settled
was
on,
the inspiration.
yes, transportation planning is my area of interest.
Okay, very good, Neil. I appreciate that. We all do. All right, young lady, you're up.
Hi, my name is Jingren, and I also go to U of M. I just graduated. I'm a master's student of urban and regional planning. I just graduated last month, and thank you, Kayla. I come to Spalding Decker.
Okay, when did you decide you were going to follow this major?
I think my mom did like similar work when I was young. So yeah, I just want to do that when I'm an adult. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Well, you're going to have a foot in government and you're going to have a foot in the private sector. So it's an interesting activity that you're going to pursue. And I think you'll find it quite rewarding because there's a lot of challenges out there, as you probably all already know through your studies. And of course, every one of us up here wish you luck and all the best.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for
Thanks a lot.
We've been really lucky to have Neil and Jinren this summer. It's been great.
You got them just for the summer, Kayla?
Yes, just
Did you?
for the summer.
Intern? When does Spalding Decker determine they they need to hire on interns. Does that happen often?
That does happen very often, yes. So,
Okay. They do that once they've graduated?
yeah, it just depends.
All right,
On the market.
on the market. Well, very good. All right, Cale. I'm glad you invited them. It's always interesting to see the future doers and leaders in communities and the corporations and businesses that are going to work with the communities. So it's really a privilege and an honor to do both. Usually, you'll be in one sector, private, or you'll be in the other, public. It's not often that you have your foot in both. And I think you'll find it very, and that concept will probably keep both of you going throughout your careers. So I hope you have long ones, and maybe you'll have a long one at Spalding and DeDecker. Or even maybe Giffords and Webster. You just never know.
Hey,
President Michael?
I got a whole crew of interns as well, but I don't torture mine.
President Mike he's a president, yeah.
It's a good idea. I might bring somebody to a board meeting.
There you go.
All right, very good.
We'll treat them just like you would expect us to.
Okay, very good.
But then you won't have Chair Bob.
All right, let's move on, onward and upward to our new business, and that is the Romeo District Library, the Grosvenor branch on Van Dyke, parcel number 2404-11-300-24, and this is a courtesy presentation that I understand we're going to see and hear, and we look forward to it. The library's kind of been an icon establishment there on Van Dyke. There's a lot of things going on around it, so this is going to add to the things going on.
May I reveal some information, please?
Oh, all right, Abigail has something to add.
Okay, I just want to make everyone aware that I am along the west property line of the library. I don't feel that I would have a conflict of interest whatsoever, but I just want to make everyone aware that I am that property borderline on the west side.
Thank you, Abigail. You usually are really quick to recuse yourself if you think there is something up. So it's good to know that there isn't. Okay. Our folks with the library presentation are working their way with the technology. And looks like they're making progress.
Which one? There's so many of them all the time.
Well, Nico is directing the orchestra. And, okay. If you would, just your name and address as soon as you get
Sure.
settled.
Seth Pinchansky with Daniels and Zermatt Architects. We're in Ann Arbor at 2080 South State Street. And I have with me DeRoss Cullens, who's been working on this project.
Okay. What'd you say your name was? DeRoss and
DeRoss Seth Pinchansky.
Seth, okay. All right, very good. Thank you.
So the project, the building, the library was built about 20 years ago, a little bit more, about 21,000 square feet, 23,000 square feet. And of course, the library was actually designed on the site to double in size based on the original site plan. But the library really at this point is looking at really a much smaller addition, about a 5,500 square foot addition, which allows us to expand both the youth area and the teen area and the meeting room. And actually through, of course, libraries have changed quite a bit in the last 20 years. And so it's really not quite as much about growth of collections as much as more meeting space, more group study rooms, more quiet study rooms, more tutoring rooms. So there's a number in the plan, probably about 5 new group study rooms, 2 new tutoring rooms, doubling the size of the existing meeting room, which holds around 80 people right now, 80 to 90. And so that's a pretty important element. And really probably when you look at the original building, and I guess I should probably show you that floor plan so you can kind of just get a sense of the existing building. This was an early drawing to kind of, not the final drawing, but it's nicely colored, so I'll show it to you. But you can see the yellow area to the left is the addition of the youth area, and the green area in this case was the teen area. The current plan's a little more developed than that, but it just gives you a good idea. And the meeting room that's in the front is that kind of purple area that is really not being expanded, but reconfigured so it can hold about twice as many people. Sure. And still be subdividable. And then you see in the lime green kind of the various tutoring rooms and different size group study rooms. And so it's kind of a little bit of a shell game. By moving the teens out of the adult area, it gives some expansion to the adult area, and we're able to actually expand collections as well. We started off this process with a needs assessment to look at what are the needs for the library over the next 20 years, and then looking at phasing that need, because the community is going to double in the next 20 years, 25 years. So this is really phase one, what we're calling phase one. You see on the drawings looking at future opportunities for expansion for phase two, which was kind of how the site plan back in 2003, whenever it was, kind of contemplated. So that's kind of the program, if you will. I should also say the program room, which we call kind of sometimes called a story hour room in a library, but we tend to call it a program room because a story hour is just one program. There's a lot of kind of arts and crafts and kind of more makerspace activities that happen in that. And that is kind of the jewel and the focus of the addition. It's this kind of arched, vaulted space. Still small because it's mostly for kids, but it can hold kind of up to about probably almost 100 kids, you know, if they're just sitting on the floor. But in reality, most story times and stuff are not that big. They're much more intimate.
Yeah. With 80 kids, you know, the presentation and their attention span isn't going to last very long.
Right, yes. But anyway, that's another flexible room, and I'll get to that because I think that's important when it comes to the parking count.
Yeah.
So if I kind of jump to just kind of a little bit about what what the look is of that program room is that kind of vaulted roof that's kind of a smaller form that sticks out. Part of the design of this was there's an existing playground that was donated, and we wanted to not just, you know, work around that playground, but there's also windows at the end of the original building, which is the higher roof building, that we didn't want to cover up. Those are fabulous windows, very high, 16-foot high space. And wanted to be able to expand the playground and enclose it with this low, kind of 4-foot high fence, so that we don't have kids running out into the parking lot. It'll have a gate in it so people can access it even when the library is closed. But that was kind of part of the logic of kind of creating this almost U-shape around the playground, so that by doing that with it south-facing, it kind of will protect the playground a little bit in those shoulder season months where we're thinking we'll get a little better use of the playground in those shoulder months. Okay. The jumping more to the site plan, and this is kind of the landscape plan, and I'm sorry in that our submission didn't have the full landscape plan developed in it. So I know that was a major comment, was about the quantity of landscaping. So objective here is to have a landscape around more than 75% of the addition, and with probably about, I think we're calling for around 20 new trees in the base plan. In the upper left, you see that red arrow, that's the fire truck turnaround that is required, and the civil engineers discussed that with the fire marshal, and that was his preference. Because of the size of the truck, it can't actually turn around behind the building. So one of the things that programmatic elements that was important was there's currently a book drop behind the building, but nobody can make the turn, and the book drop doesn't drop directly into the building for staff to retrieve it. So you see kind of that little green island is where the existing dumpster is, and we're creating a drive around that island so that there's a better approach to a book drop. And that's just a very small little, about 5-foot addition on the back of the building for a book drop that you can drive through. And there's a little landscaping along that edge, and some landscaping added to around the east and the south side of the dumpster. A new tree there as well, because there's about 3 trees that are very large conifers that have to be removed for the fire truck turnaround. So we're showing 3 more conifers up there that are kind of intended to kind of screen from the property to the north. There was one comment for a cross connection to that property. There's an agreement, and the thinking about that for the future. That didn't come up in any of the discussions with the fire marshal. And the grade is quite challenging there. I don't think it could actually happen in a way that the fire truck could handle that grade change. But that was not something that kind of was discussed or brought up in our conversations with the fire marshal. So the north area, that north area there's currently about 9 parking spaces for staff. And as we're reconfiguring that turnaround for the drive-through, we decided to add 2 more parking spaces back there for staff. One of them is barrier-free. And there's also kind of a loading zone there, even though it's not as your typical defined loading zone, but where that kind of hatched area in front of the dumpster is basically where we would see a UPS truck. That they have, kind of more small truck type deliveries for books and the interlibrary loan, things like that. The parking on the left, which is titled banked parking, there's about 14 spaces there as an alternate for parking, whether it's future or now. We kind of, from a budget standpoint, we're not sure that we can afford that now, so we kind of want to bid that as an alternate. Additionally, we didn't have it shown on the set that we submitted to you, but since then, as we've kind of looked tight, more at the budget, the parking in the front, which was to really just bring the handicap or the barrier-free parking closer to the front door, because right now they're kind of on either side of that center large island. So people have to cross the drive aisle. So that's an alternate as well, and that happens to be a spot where the pavement the base needs to be kind of fortified because it's had lots of patches over the years. So pretty much where we're doing work, we're patching some of the pavement down to base where there's some soft spots. But in general, where we don't have to, we're just milling and top coat on the asphalt. So I know there was a comment on the north side about the drive aisle is only 20 feet there, and the ordinance is 26. And we really didn't want to move that curb. That existing curb is to remain. And if we did, we would be cutting down another 7 very large conifers. Fire marshal, again, wasn't concerned about that. The quantity of traffic that goes behind the building is very little. We think it may increase with a book drop that people can actually use, but still we wouldn't expect very much traffic or conflicting truck traffic with cars. And similarly, if we do the alternate with the parking on the west, we will then have the opportunity to expand that drive aisle to 26 feet. That won't be a problem. So I don't think that was shown correctly on the initial civil drawings, but they're revising those drawings. Let's see. So I think I've addressed, one of the other questions I think was appearance. And the intent is really for it to be mostly brick. Let's see if I go through here. The west side, you see in this elevation, in the upper elevation, that's looking at the program room, which is intended to be some radius glulam beams and kind of what is considered mass timber, which is kind of a hot subject right now. And the ceiling will actually be a mass timber ceiling too. They make an acoustical, basically timber ceiling plank. It performs as well as a lay-in ceiling, which we're really excited to use in a library. And so that program room and possibly 2 of the bays of the youth area will be that product. And so one of the ideas on the west facade was to kind of express that mass timber, which is that pine spruce cross-laminated timber is basically a wall panel and above a masonry base. So that when I take into account, we remove kind of all of the fenestration, all the glass, and there's cow wall walls, which are kind of actually a translucent wall panel on the sides of that program room. The ratio really is more like 75%, not 90% of masonry. So, I think we're asking for that kind of exception for this particular case. But if you really think we should, we can make it all masonry. So it's kind of more of an aesthetic thing to kind of show that there's some mass timber in this project. I think that's primarily it. Most of the glazing is facing south towards the playground. Some small windows high along the north wall where we just want some light to come in. It's kind of where most of the shelving collection is. And there's a nice window to the north from the teen area. The kind of one of the biggest hurdles is, even though they originally designed the building to be doubled, they didn't put the transformer in a good location. So we have to actually relocate the transformer about 20 feet north to make this really function well for the library. From a stormwater standpoint, we're disturbing less than an acre. So the county doesn't take jurisdiction at least less than an acre. The objective, after relooking at the whole site from a stormwater standpoint, is that we think we need to increase the capacity. There's kind of 2 basins. I'll go back to that site plan. Oh, I guess it doesn't show up on this site plan. Let me go back to, need a different drawing altogether, don't I, DeVries? Let's see. The D-Day set in here.
When did they make their initial presentation? Last week? Oh, today? I was having a little hard time hearing.
And you've got it on your plans, but I don't know that I
Stuff that he's dealing with here.
have it
I
on
didn't
mine.
understand anything about the bend, the arch made out of-
But I can describe it. There's a small
It's hard to hear
basin
for me anyway.
right in the southeast corner here. And that has a pipe that then connects it to the larger basin, which wraps around the east and north side of the existing building. And so that basin has the majority of the capacity. And so what we're planning to do is to dig out that basin about 10%. We need about 3,000 more cubic feet of capacity to meet the ordinance. And then the other thing is we're changing the outlet structures in, there really aren't proper outlet structures in the existing basins, so we're replacing those with current state-of-the-art outlet structures. The property, the development to the south is putting basically a storm sewer in along the west side of Van Dyke there to the library's property. So the outlet, there's a 6-inch PVC outlet coming from the property that will tie into their catch basin there and go into the new sewer. There was one comment from the Water and Sewer Department that we didn't quite understand, that was something, it was a question, storm replace, question mark?
Remove, storm, replace, question mark.
Right, so I'm not
You
sure.
won't be the first that doesn't understand what's written there.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if he was, referring to that 6-inch PVC that connects to the new storm, the outlet, and whether, we didn't think that, we needed to upgrade or replace that 6-inch PVC in terms of capacity. It's basically, it's the restriction going out right now, but with the new inlet structure, but it could be done if that's necessary.
Well, Seth, working with the staff here at the township over time with the project, I'm sure they'll clarify whatever
Okay.
whatever that means.
Okay.
I'm confident they
Oh, I'm
will.
sorry. I'm curious, excuse me, whose jurisdiction is this building process here? It's not under Washington, is it? Washington Township? Is this is a courtesy presentation?
Well,
So if we have something we want to change or ask about, do we have the power to do that?
I actually don't know the answer to that question. It is under your jurisdiction. And I think that the idea of the courtesy review is that it is a municipal building, but I don't know what the legal clarifications would be. I mean, we want to do the right
Sure.
thing, whatever that is.
Well, we've been very stringent upon the materials that are built for longevity here, and we have a standard that we have used and are using, 90-10. And you were saying something, if I'm correct in quoting you, that part of this is 75%?
Yeah,
What
roughly
is
75. It's somewhere, I actually didn't get into a very detailed, taking off every brick
Yeah,
in the
I
arch,
understand.
but it's probably between 75 and 80%.
Can you
Of
actually
the
pull up
total
that sheet?
area that's wall area. Yeah. So what the ordinance says is if you exclude the windows or the fenestration, what's left of opaque walls, that 90% of it should be masonry. And I would say with that with the wood panels, that wood panel probably represents about 20 to 25% of that opaque area.
Christine, what do you want to add?
Libraries are not exempt from your zoning ordinance requirements. But as another municipal-type building, they're generally given a little bit of leniency.
Or
But they're not
consideration,
exempt,
yeah,
they're still
sure.
held to the same standards.
Would you be willing to show the sheet you shared with that west elevation in color? And if possible, zoom into
Yeah.
that one, because that's not one that was submitted with the
Right,
packet.
because what you have was not in color, right? Yeah, so
Thank you.
those wood panels just basically look like, wood planks. So it's a very smooth finish, and it would be, stained to resist moisture. This is actually showing it indicates a, 2-foot, actually it says concrete, but it would be like, it's really a precast that looks like stone, but holds up at the base of the building. So it is a masonry product. But again, I think it's not a critical element to our design, so it also, it's a it's not an inexpensive product, but it doesn't look like masonry, of course. Masonry would be a little
Full
bit more
masonry.
expensive. Yeah.
What's the life expectancy?
Well, it's indefinite if you maintain it, as long as it,
Is that a yearly thing to maintain it?
No, it'd probably be about every 7 years. You just, maintain the coating,
Seal it.
like a stain. But there's also in the design overhang to, protect it from rain and such. And it's, part of the logic was if there's some mass timber elements and where it's almost like if you have a truck of mass timber coming, you might as well have a few more panels on the truck. But again, it's not a critical element to the design, so we thought it was just a nice aesthetic thing to express what the actual building is on the outside.
Seth, our staff has written up their review and summarized what your project presents. Have you had the opportunity to read?
Yeah, and I think the other thing I didn't quite address most of the things in the review. The parking count was kind of a little bit of a discrepancy in that we took a different approach of, the ordinance says 1 per 50 for meeting room space, 1 per 500 for a library, and we've found libraries are what we do, probably done a few dozen of them over the years, and we've found the sweet spot is really less than 1 to 500, and it really depends a lot on that meeting room size and how many meeting rooms you have. And so when Spalding Decker did their review, they took into account the meeting room but not the program room. So in our count, we had taken into account the program room as well, but we had also used more of a 1 to 3 for the occupancy. So having a vehicle for every 3 seats, or because you could have, 80 kids packed into that program room, and they do need to come in a vehicle, but they won't be driving themselves. Anyway, so, the feeling from the library was they could use some additional parking spaces. And so originally we were planning to do 15 additional parking spaces. And then as we started looking at the barrier-free situation, that actually increased by moving the barrier-free in front of the building. It actually increased 6 parking spaces in front of the building. And then we had the 2 more that were a good opportunity behind the building. So 8 plus 14 we're really showing a 22, potentially 20, increase of 22 parking spaces if we take both the alternates, where the ordinance, the way I actually would interpret the ordinance, I think I was coming up with a total of 120. And let me see here, I thought I had, yes, I have my calculations here, where I think Spalding Decker's calculation was 109 would be the max, and I was actually, including the program room, I was coming out to 120. And there's currently 105 on the property. So I'm thinking 15 is really what the ordinance would say, is 15 more, and we're proposing 22. I don't think, again, that's really critical. It's kind of, on that west parking, it's more a sense of, well, if we're modifying that drive aisle and adding some parking on the west, we might as well add 14 spaces. We're trying to preserve a few of the existing trees that are there and create islands around them because they're pretty mature red maples. But then would have to replace a number of those as well with new red maples.
Seth, we have a pre-planning committee segment or phase for applicants in order to help them put together their format for the formal presentation. Are you aware of the pre-planning committee meeting that we have?
Well, we did do a pre-planning meeting.
You've had that already?
Yeah.
Very good.
Right at the beginning.
Okay, very good. I just have one other question, and maybe the commissioners or staff have comments or questions, but I just have one. It's kind of general. What would be the impetus to make an expansion like this in a library? Are there trends that have evolved over time that now you have to update or upgrade, either through technology or for the way maybe libraries and education and reading and knowledge have evolved? I mean, other than this crazy thing.
Right. Well, there's a lot of new trends, in libraries over the last 20 years. Interestingly, library collections have been declining nationwide since 2005. And so there are standards for library planning based on the size of the community and what your collection size should be. And we usually look at not just arbitrary numbers, but kind of similar communities and what their libraries have. And so when we do a needs assessment, we project what's the population going to be in 20 years, which it's going to be approaching 50,000 people, and what is the appropriate size collection and other amenities for a population of that size so that you're building for 20 years of growth. In reality, we're building the youth area large enough for 20 years of growth, but we're not really adding to the adult area. We're freeing up some space so the adult area has maybe about 5 to 10 years of growth for the collections, and we're adding a lot of the amenities that are really necessary, like the group study rooms, because there's a lot of people who are working remotely, they're running businesses, and they actually will have a lot of meetings in the library. Zoom changed our life, right? It wasn't COVID, it was Zoom that changed our life. And the other thing that's a major shift is the type of programming that libraries are doing. There's much more programming where, resources in the community, whether it's an expert or somebody a maker in the community, comes in and runs a program. So the library is doing maybe less programming with librarians and more programming with other experts in the community. So having flexible meeting space, you've probably heard the term a maker space. And one of the objectives is to kind of make the program room for the youth area ready to be a maker space so that you can do other types of programming, whether it's, making a live volcano, model, or teaching people how to sew. So those are some of the shifts that have happened in the last 20, 30 years. Computers, we're actually reducing some of the number of computers because there's more people who bring in their own laptops.
I would have thought it was age sensitive, and I'm glad you brought up the youth area and the adult area.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that we look at when we're doing a needs assessment is how are the demographics of the community going to change? Is it going to become more young families where the youth area, I mean, when this library was planned, remember what it was, the size of the library before. It was a huge jump in size. So it really, anything would have been way better than what was here before, right? So at this point, it's a little more strategic about what collections need to grow. Like Romeo has a fabulous audio-video collection. It's a huge portion of the collection, but we all know that's going away in the next 5 years, right?
Okay, we have someone else.
Yes. Hi, my name is Joanne Marino. I am a trustee, actually the Washington representative for the Romeo District Library. And I participated on the ad hoc committee and working with Seth, developing the needs assessment for the next, 20 years, right, we looked at. And so I think it seemed we're serving currently very young people and seniors, okay, and adult to senior. But we're missing that middle, the teens, and we're finding that we just don't have what they need. They need space, study space, they need computer areas. So we looked at the current library, and there's a lot of inefficiencies in that current library. So working with Seth, we kind of prioritized things that we wanted to see, and that's how this plan was developed. So this is like phase one, and over time we hope to, as the community grows, to also grow the library. But he talked about the meeting space and some study rooms and such. And so we're kind of losing patrons because we don't have those things today. So we expect that the community will really be able to utilize these additions that we plan to make to the library.
Okay, good, Joan. Thank you for
Yeah.
comment. All right. Staff, anything you want to add or comment for the folks? Questions? We really appreciate you doing it.
Yeah, we'll be coming back to you.
Oh, yes, okay, very good.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Joanne. Seth, thank you. DeRoss, do you have anything other than a smile? No? Okay. All right, very good. Well, that's all there's. Did you have a question?
Just a couple of comments, a couple of questions. So I was looking at the parking issue. So if they don't build the banked parking, then they are in compliance.
Correct.
So, and that also solves the issue with the drive aisle
Yes.
for now. And no, looks like there's no objections from the fire department about any of the existing layout or the plans.
Yeah, the challenge with the deferred parking is we'd want some language then about what the threshold is for when it gets built, because once it's on a site plan, there's less staff review or ability to control. So, approving that deferred parking on a plan puts it in a place where it could be built. So let's think about what that looks like if the parking is needed immediately or down the road, and maybe we can find agreement on the threshold there.
Well, I like the unique challenge of having too much parking rather than too little parking. Everyone wants too small a parking. So those sort of solve each other. I did notice that there were some notes in here, Kayla, that you put in here about the landscaping. If you're not building the banked property, does that give you some room in the budget then perhaps to address some of those landscape issues, bring that further into compliance?
Yeah, well, I think I think Kayla's comments were without seeing the actual landscape plan. That was our fault. I think we will be coming closer to compliance. Clearly, if we have to remove more trees for that banked parking, we would be replacing them with And we could replace them with more than just one for one to help with that, because they'll definitely be smaller trees. Some of the trees that, a lot of the trees that we're losing for this, I think probably 7 of them are very tall conifers. They're, that really are massive and have grown together. Where most of what we're planning to replace is more deciduous. But really conifers where we'd need them for screening. But yeah, definitely, I think we can show more with that banked parking along that side.
Our primary recommendation, because this is a little bit unique in that it's an addition and not a full redo of the site, was that the Planning Commission require the landscaping around the building. So that's that 7-foot landscaping space. It appears in what the applicant has shared that they are planning to do that.
Right.
But we'd want to see that on a plan so that we can measure and make sure it meets that standard.
Yeah, and the playground's kind of, I almost consider it's not quite a landscape area, but at least it's a kind of treated area with mulch, and I don't know where that falls in terms of that surrounding area of the building. And then we were planning to do some landscaping just at the drive up, which is part of the existing building. It's very small. It's not a 7-foot because the driveway or the drive-through has to be close enough to the building. It's probably about 5 feet away from the curb from the building there.
Okay. And then I read Rich's comments, and then I read in Mike's letter about the ponds being under the Macomb County Department of Public Works purview. So I'm assuming if there's anything there, they would flag that, and that would be corrected before anything is engineered or built? Or?
Yeah, since that southern pond outlets to the right-of-way, it falls under their jurisdiction. So our advice is to simply have your engineer reach out to them if they haven't already. Okay. Because this is an existing site and your disturbance area is so low, I suspect they aren't really going to make you do anything. But if there are improvements that you want to make to the outlet control structures, then they would have jurisdiction on it.
Got it. So we still
It's just going to
go through them. Yep. And I know they have already talked to them.
Great.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
In fact, I think one of the pending questions I have is, what would be the incremental improvement if it was under, if the county was looking at the whole drainage? It may be something like a 4-bay basin or something that would be very easy to add if we have a bulldozer getting in there anyways.
Right. They've been using an acre as their threshold
Yeah.
for disturbance area, so I think you will be under that based on what is there today versus what you're just reconfiguring.
Yeah.
And whether or not they're going to make you add pretreatment or anything like that would probably be triggered by that. So again, that's going to be under them, but they've been pretty reasonable when it's a site like this.
And one of our objectives is to actually, one of the reasons we had kind of that overhang with some downspouts on the west wall was to, right now, of course, all the water from the roof is going into the basins, but we wanted to take at least some of that water and put it into like a bioswale area as part of that landscaping bed along the west side. So that's still an objective, which would actually lessen our impact on the stormwater system.
Okay. Is that it, Commissioners? Are we all set? Seth, you all done?
Yeah, thank you very much. I really appreciate it and your thoughtful feedback.
All right, very good. Good to have met you, and thank you for participating, helping us out.
Excellent.
Good luck with it.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Okay. Romeo District Library Grosvenor has made a great presentation.
Don't we need a motion?
Yes, you'll need to make a motion on the
we do?
application.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Just
do
so
the
that we can-
do you feel comfortable if this was approved contingent upon meeting your recommendations?
Yeah, we would want clarification, I think, on the building material, how the planning commission is feeling
Right.
about that west elevation. Anything else from your end?
If fire department issues or any turning radii, they've already noted in their letter that they don't have an objection. They did note distance from the fire department connection to the hydrant. So, I mean, it's certainly something that's not really a site plan issue. If that hydrant has to be moved or they're not comfortable with that location, that could be caught during engineering. I think that's, on our end, most of our comments were, clarifications that need to be placed on the plan. If we can see a plan at some point before we stamp a final set that addresses those issues, I think we could be comfortable.
I didn't see a motion sheet.
It's the first sheet.
The very first one?
If you flip to the first tab, after minutes.
So we
After
need
minutes?
we need to determine if we accept the
The west elevation materials, yes.
The next tab.
And then we would work with the applicant on that language. If the planning commission is okay with the deferred parking, we'd work with you on that language for the threshold on when that could be
Not
built.
seen it.
Look all the way at the back. I don't know why yours isn't in front. It's that section, but look at the last page of that section.
Last page is fire department.
What did you do with it?
First page, electronically, it's there.
It's there.
I don't have it.
Electronically.
You don't have it either?
I don't have it. What's going on around here?
Seriously?
Do
you not have it?
I don't see it. I don't see the motion document, no.
I don't think it exists.
I've got the application, and then the drive easement, and then the last page is the fire department.
If we put it up on the screen, can you guys see it from there?
You can have mine.
Give it to Bob.
Sorry about that. I don't know how that got.
One demerit.
I'll just need it back.
D3, I promote you as perfect. No, this is the first time.
So
This is the very first time.
Yes.
where are we landing on the
Okay.
siding, on the materials? 'Cause we need to figure that out.
I think they said that they can make the 90%.
So are we, is the commission going to require them then to meet the standard?
You do have the ability to approve another material if it's similar durability for,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's a discussion.
I don't know if we need to do that now, John. I mean, they have to make a formal presentation. So that's our time.
No.
So this is their formal
Oh,
presentation.
this is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's all we get, Bob.
I thought this was our conceptual,
No,
just a second.
they did come into pre-planning with their preliminary plans for us to review.
Okay, very good.
makes
All right, very good.
Yeah, I mean,
or we're going to have
I appreciate you explaining that it's not critical to design, and no one's going to go home and lose any sleep over that.
I retract my gavel. Okay, we have to make a motion here.
And DeRoss, you've been
We finally got the sheet.
Yes. Do you have, you got to check the other ones once you're done with this, because now I don't know what happened.
That's all right, Dee.
So we were discussing over here, if, how the majority of the planning commissions felt about that, the brick, the 90-10.
The 90-10.
Right.
In reviewing the wood siding or type of wood material.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think sticking with that standard is probably in the best interest.
I think we should stick with
Well, yeah,
Where's
I
Mr.
have
Brick when we need
no,
him?
no qualm with that, 90-10, and I think our folks will figure it out. They seem
Probably got
prepared.
Some sort of laminate.
Yeah. Okay.
Sheet vinyl.
Without any other items besides the required landscaping, which may circle the building, and the 90-10 materials for exterior, I would make a motion to approve site plan request for the Romeo District Library, Robiner Branch, located at 65821 Van Dyke, parcel 240411-324, for the purpose of constructing a 5,500 square foot building addition and renovation to the Romeo District Library. In addition to that, understood that the landscaping that we've discussed will be pursued, and that the exterior materials, 90% brick or stone and 10% other durable, will be implemented. If I've missed anything, let me know.
What about removal of the bank parking from the site plans?
Bank parking, I think the applicant had said that they were kind of like holding that in reserve. It's not something you are pursuing now? Okay, they're holding it in reserve.
It is reserved parking, but we'd like the ability to work with the applicant on language for when the parking can be constructed.
Okay, the banked parking will be reserved at this point in time, but will be pursued with applicant if indeed it is to be implemented. Anybody else? Michael, do you have anything?
Nope.
All right, I think we've got 3 items here. Not bad. I guess we need a second.
Support?
Okay. D3, you can take a roll call.
Can I have my sheet back?
Yeah, a little torn up.
And can you check your other
Yes,
sheet?
don't lose it. It's the only one there is.
It's the only one that exists. Okay. Mr. Sacco?
Yes.
Mr. Chaplin?
Yes.
Mr. Jaski?
Yes.
Ms. Jacobson?
Yes. I'm sorry, yes.
Okay.
Maybe you didn't hear me, sorry.
Did get everyone.
I think that's all of us. It's unanimous.
Unanimous.
All right, very good. Gavel that counts. Good to have met you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for presenting.
Yeah. Good luck.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, indeed.
would it make sense to amend the agenda to push the ordinance discussion after?
What'd you do? Were you reading my mind?
Applicant?
Were you reading my mind, Johnny
I
boy?
am. Let's not have people sit through a very long.
Yeah, no, I
when
would,
They really don't have to.
I would agree. John, you're making a motion?
I will make that a motion.
Okay, to move the agenda item, zoning ordinance text amendments B and switcheroo with C and switcheroo C.
That was exactly my motion.
All right, very good. I'll second that motion. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, let's take up, so we don't put them to sleep here in our hearing room. The Village Center of Romeo, Salvation Army. Okay, who's here? Come on down.
Good evening, Jim Butler with PEA Group.
David Tomlinson with Integris Ventures, ownership of the center.
So here, we're here this evening requesting a minor site plan amendment revision to the Romeo Village site located at 66090 Van Dyke Road. There's been the Salvation Army is in the process of building out their suite and their site. And in conjunction with that, they needed a drop-off area in the rear of the building. In lieu of putting it up front, where people would come up and park their car with their stuff and come in, they decided that they needed to have loading at the rear for materials and stuff and donations. The plan we provided to you had a 36-foot wide by 90-foot deep concrete or asphalt area. We read the comments from Giffords Webster and think that we probably need to expand that a scotch to allow for vehicles to be able to make the maneuver that we think they need to make. So, I have for you a revised plan.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Dave, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, here you go. There's a circle.
Thank you.
Wondering how that was going to look.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So the plan that I just handed to you, we've expanded that 36 to 42 feet. We've kept the same distance. So what we've shown is how the vehicle, and this is a Ford F-150 truck, how it would work and maneuver within that area. So you can see it would come around the building, come into that padded area. It would make a left turn. It would turn and be able to stop and be able to get materials or donations out of there and then leave. In the site plan, there was a package, the signage package. I don't know if you saw that. That was provided. It was a color document that was in there. There is wayfinding signs for that. So the thought is that people would come around the building, enter into that area, and would leave with a left-hand turn and work their way around the building. So essentially,
Okay.
coming this way, in, and leaving this way. We also saw the review comments from Spalding Decker. One of their comments was related to a photometric plan to ensure safety and lighting in there. We can certainly provide that. That's something that can be done. Right now, I believe there are wall packs behind there.
The building has wall packs about every 12 feet right now. We've got a spec to upgrade those packs, and then we'd be open to additional enhancements, whether that be pole or bollard lighting. And we're happy to work with staff to review that study and make sure that everyone's satisfied.
Awesome. Sounds great.
So if you have any questions, be happy to answer them.
I had one other comment, and I apologize because it didn't make its way into the summary. On that sign package, it looks to be in compliance, but the wall sign didn't have the dimensions. So I just want to check that and note for the planning commission. We didn't see any issues, but we'll just want to check when it comes in for final permit that it's in that.
Yeah, so the wall signage package was provided by the tenant. So
Oh, okay.
I'll get with the tenant and make sure that gets corrected.
Yeah. I'm not concerned about it, just wanted to catch it.
The only other comment I might make is the building department did note dimensions of an overhead door as well as the inclusion of bollards on the site. That's all existing already. So we already have it on our building permit drawings to put the bollards in, and the door is the dimension that the department had requested. They had asked for that during their plan review.
So we'll reflect that on a revised plan with the photometric.
Okay, you've kind of addressed the two main features that Kayla requested. You don't anticipate anything larger than folks contributing, donating, and using vehicles no larger than, say, a Ford F-150 truck?
No, in my opinion, it's not a true loading. The overhead door that was put in is more of a convenience feature for those that the employees of Salvation Army that are coming out to grab a credenza or assist someone that's coming in. There's really very limited or no functionality to take an item off of a truck or something of that nature, right? And if you look at their current loading and unloading, it's in an area actually much smaller than this on the corner of their current building. So very pedestrian-oriented, if you will, type of retail traffic that's the focus here.
Well, you're not 24/7 anyway. You have limited hours during the week. I don't know if I think Saturday you're open, aren't you?
Yeah, so the hours provided to us by the tenant were approximately 10 a.m. during the week and on the weekends,
Yeah.
and then between 5 and 7 p.m. on the evenings.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good. You're really downsizing.
Yeah, the tenant's in, over 30,000 feet at the present moment. And our space is about, I want to say, around 12. They had expressed to us the desire to downsize in their current location, but the landlord was unwilling to accommodate. And so we were more than happy to have them. The goal is to provide a better curated mix of tenants that focus on the retail consumers. We had for many years kind of non-retail tenants, if you will, occupying the center, which is fine. But we find in our experience that having a well-curated mix of retailers in there that complement each other is how you create a vibrant property.
Well, we've donated quite a bit through the years, and we'll continue, and I'm sure every planning commissioner can say the same.
Yeah, well, everybody does. There's always a line.
Yeah.
And which leads me to my next question. I'm looking at that, and you're showing them looping in and out, and looks like your signs are going to be directing people to enter through the south entrance and then come behind there. Is this going to be proposed as a one-way drive back there, or?
Yeah, so our proposition is to have one-way traffic flow right now. The wayfinding in the front of the center will support that. The rear of the center is already fully paved. And we talked to the fire department about proper depths and widths of that drive. And so there is quite a bit of room back there. Certainly more than I think you'd probably originally build today if you had to. Part of that is because of the septic field. So there's a huge setback between the building and the back property line. But it's our intention that the traffic flow would work from the south to the north, correct?
Okay. And you don't anticipate with the volumes you expect to get any issues exiting the parking lots to the main roads, or, I mean, like I said, I've seen in the old location, quite a few cars backed up at times, and I'm just wondering, at peak flows, if there's going to be any issues, or if they're stacked up behind, say, Enterprise Rent-A-Car there, it's fairly narrow, and the in and out could be a little bit of an issue. And I'm just wondering if that's going to be something that will be addressed. I don't know how wide it is at that particular spot.
Sure. So, Jim, I don't know if you have any ideas. I mean, I don't know what our queuing is in the rear of the property in terms of how many. It looks like, I mean, there's a substantial amount of room there. There is no active loading in proximity to the Salvation Army's drop-off area. So to the north, obviously, we have the Romeo Theater. The only other, let's call it, tenant that utilizes rear access to the north of the property would just be Enterprise. And the only thing that they use their rear door for is to hose off vehicles when they come in from return. So it's not like a consumer would be at Enterprise and pulling out of the back of the center into that drive lane. That would be an Enterprise employee rinsing off a car and backing out to pull the car into the front of the site where they park them. We do have ample room, so if widening the rear drive to allow for potentially a pass-through, we certainly have the room to do it.
Okay. And then the other question I had is the other end of the complex, family farm and home. I go there a lot because I love their stuff. And that can get to be a bit of a maze, depending on what kind of equipment they've got parked out there on the south end of the building.
So that south end of the building's not, I guess what I would say is my understanding of the lease is that they're a little too comfortable down there on the south end of the building. So that is not supposed to be for excess vehicle trailers and things of that nature, nor is the way that they administer their loading area. So we've spoken to them that's got to go when this starts, right?
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right, appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, I have one question here. Our health department, Macomb County, his comment was maintain a minimum of 5 feet to all septic tanks and septic fields with the proposed loading dock and drive. Are you you're apprised of that?
Absolutely. And actually, before we submitted this, we actually had the one septic tank that was in closest proximity to this area replaced with a road grade septic tank as well. And we pulled a permit for that and went through the township for that as approval as well.
Okay. Michael, do you have anything you want to add?
I appreciate the little bit wider pavement. I think that'll make for better movements. I know in the current location, there's simply some cones that are used to kind of direct people. Is the intent to stripe anything on this large area that kind of shows?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, great. I'm good then. I think it's going to work a lot better.
All right, Kayla, anything?
No, they've addressed my comments as well. We'll just be looking for that photometric plan.
Okay, excellent. Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
If I might. Jeff, I see you sitting out there. Yes. He's the neighbor, also attended. Did you have anything you wanted to say or add in tonight?
I was just joining David to see how it's coming along, so we're anxious to get them in.
Okay, just wanted to give you an opportunity.
Yeah, everybody keeps asking us what's going on.
I would like to ask a question about, there is a driveway, I don't know if it's supposed to be used or not, but it would be the northwest corner of your property. I see a lot of people pulling in and out of there.
In the north?
It's not at your light.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's three entry points into the center. There's the northwest corner, the main lighted entrance, and then the southwest.
So that is considered an entrance and an exit, the north?
It is, yes.
It is, okay.
Yes, yep.
I just thought
Yep.
somewhere or another it had been created because, and people were using it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I suppose that's a way they could exit out versus going to the light.
Unless you're turning left.
Yep.
Yeah, right. That's right. Okay,
very good.
got it.
I don't think there's anything else. We just may be waiting on one of our commissioners to return, and same with Dana.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Dee. First time ever seen this.
She didn't want to get her second demerit.
There's a first,
I mean, you got her first demerit already, she can't get her fourth second.
there's a first time for everything.
2 meetings in 1 week.
Excuse me, Dana, this is not hole punch?
That's all right. Oh,
I bet
yeah,
she
yeah,
can
yeah,
make that
that's
happen.
right.
Just go like this.
Somebody's going to get punched real quick.
Okay, well, if you'll bear with us,
Yeah, no problem.
we're just waiting for our,
So assuming all things go well, do you have a?
Mr. Jaski, there he is.
The move-in date will be sometime in the month of July, so they're operating on a 30-day rolling calendar across the street. And we just passed our final rough inspections. I want to say mechanical was this week, so all the ceilings being closed up, so I anticipate sometime after the 4th of July. And then once this site work's obviously scheduled, yep, they'll
Good.
open for
Getting
business.
close?
Yep, that's right.
Okay, I think we're all set for a motion. Abigail?
I'd like to make the motion to approve the minor site plan revision to the Village Center of Romeo for the Salvation Army occupation for a donation drop-off location, which is located within the Village Center of Romeo Commercial Complex at 66090 Van Dyke, parcel 240411-17601. Based on addressing the professionals' comments and also based on the site plan we received this evening.
Dated 6/12.
Thank you.
And providing a photometric plan.
And providing a photometric plan that's acceptable to the township.
I'll support that motion.
Okay, we have a motion that's seconded, and D3, we will take a roll call if possible.
Ms. Jacobson?
Yes.
Mr. Chaplin?
Yes.
Mr. Sacco?
Hello?
Mr. Jaski?
Yes.
Was that a
Wasn't a
yes?
yes.
Hello means yes. Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Good luck, Captain.
So goodbye would mean no?
Well,
Is that, goodbye would mean no?
yeah, it might.
What is this?
All right, let's try to move
We
on
moved it on the agenda.
to the village zoning ordinance.
Thanks.
Oh, man, you
I'll
should
be
have
there.
brought some.
That's the best.
I didn't know if that was allowed, I wouldn't.
It is always allowed.
So, well,
Yes.
they might enjoy it. All right, they
Caleb,
might
your
enjoy it. Yeah, good.
Are we ready for ordinance amendments?
And you should have the motion sheet. Can we confirm that everyone has the motion sheet?
Yeah, we do have that.
Okay.
I can verify that. We do have,
I think there's going to be a lot of public comment on this one.
There he is.
yeah, that'd be an enormous amount.
Feel free to jump in anytime.
Okay, this is our public hearing scheduled for the zoning ordinance text amendments, new and amended definitions and use standard, Appendix B. So,
It's exciting already.
as we go, we're on to some very important business here,
Well, it's actually 7C now.
7C.
Yeah, we changed.
Oh,
Yeah.
not 7, oh, that's right, 7C.
So I'll start with the miscellaneous ordinance amendments. We discussed this last regularly scheduled meeting. There's nothing too substantial here, really filling in some missing definitions and doing some cleanup on some issues that we had noticed as we were doing site plan reviews over the last 6 months or so. The only comment from the Planning Commission at the last meeting was to remove language about variances expiring. We've done that for the public hearing. If the Planning Commission wishes to revisit that at a later date, we can schedule that for discussion, but that's not being considered in this draft. So new definitions were affecting some uses primarily that had not been defined but were used in your permitted and special land use sections in the code. So food and beverage store, government body, municipal buildings and uses, private museums and open space, as well as supermarkets. And that open space definition will also come into play for PUDs. That's something that the commission had been looking
was my
for.
question.
Yes.
Got it.
Other than that, updated the lists of permitted uses to reflect these changes in definitions in some of the categories, as well as some previous amendments where we just hadn't gone back to update these lists. Moving on, I know I'm jumping through those lists. That's the majority of your document there. Getting into section 316E, which is on page 13 of the draft before you. This is where the definition of open space primarily came from. It's your residential open space development requirements. So we took what was in that section and revised it so that it would work throughout the ordinance for different types of developments. In doing so, we then removed the previous definition from this section on residential open space and put it in the definitions chapter. Sorry, Chris. And then we added to full and self-service car washes, we added some landscaping provisions just to clarify what type of screening is required, because we had these issues come up where we had major screening of two uses next to each other, and then we're requiring screening on top of that. So just to clarify which of the landscaping standards apply in those contexts. Garage and yard sales removed the language to signage and referred instead to the sign ordinance, which the Township Board did adopt at their last meeting. Just a heads up on that.
Oh, John was going to talk about it.
Oh, sorry.
I'm just joking.
Oh, no.
We adopted it.
Thanks, John. And then finally added self-service and storage standards. These were not in place in the ordinance before. These are entirely new. But there's been a couple proposals now in front of the Planning Commission and Board related to self-storage, and this is intended to give you guys some provisions to look at as you're reviewing those. Any questions for me?
Oh, that's good, Kayla, thanks.
Sorry, what?
Okay.
Say that again?
Anybody else?
And it is, today's meeting is the public hearing, and after that, the commission can make a recommendation on this.
If there is nothing else, I'll
think
make a
Chris-
motion for a public hearing.
I think the legal.
Christine?
No, you can open the public.
Okay.
All right, I hear a motion.
Motion to open a public hearing?
Okay, second? do I hear?
Support.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right, Charter Township of Washington. Notice of public hearing, planning commission meetings, zoning ordinance, text
You don't
amendments.
have to read the notice.
Oh, really? Okay, well. Everyone knows this is our public hearing? For the
Yes.
text amendments? Okay. Anyone here have a comment? Nothing? Nothing yet? Okay,
Motion to close public hearing?
okay, I hear a second. Support, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, our public hearing is closed on our zoning ordinance text amendments. Any other comments before we move on?
Just Appendix B was included for reference, no changes in the design standards?
Correct. No changes to the design standards. You guys codified that into your zoning ordinance, but there were a few things that you wanted to leave in the design guidelines. What we've done is just left those items in the PDF, so it's an updated PDF that only has those items that weren't put into the zoning ordinance.
Okay,
Very good.
thanks.
Awesome.
Thank you. That was the Kayla show for us. Always puts on a dazzling performance. We'll move on to old business.
Well, If I may,
Make a
Mr.
motion.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, I have one comment with respect to the definition of open space.
Oh,
I can't wait to hear this.
uh-oh, look, we've
Oh,
already.
Caitlin and I have already talked about it. We've already got it handled.
All right.
About 8 lines down, after detention, / retention ponds,
Uh-huh.
in parentheses, it says, and associated land surrounding the pond. That's a little bit vague, but Kayla has clarified that is designed to be the
Greenbelt buffer.
required green belts.
Correct.
So if we can, any motion to approve it, that can include Kayla clarifying that, being a little more specific, then it'll be more enforceable.
Works in our favor.
Okay, very good, thanks, Chris. I didn't mean to shut you off.
Not possible.
You had a motion, you had a motion sheet and everything this time.
There is a motion sheet in there, but somehow I skipped it.
Here,
It's right in
first
front.
page.
First page, after
It's,
pictures?
it's before that
You're in the
one.
wrong section.
Well, that's because we moved.
Yep.
That's because we moved the agenda.
You got to get your Bs and Cs straightened out.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, all right, I'll make a motion to approve and recommend approval. That's what we're doing, recommend. For the amendments of the Charter Township of Washington zoning ordinance, being ordinance number 138 of the Washington Township ordinances to ensure consistency between use matrices and listed zoning district uses, promote compliance with state statute and relevant case law, define key terms used in the ordinance, reduce inconsistencies, and improve overall clarity of the ordinance. Proposed amendments include new and amended definitions and use standards and requirements for food and beverage stores, governmental body, municipal buildings and uses, museum, private, open space, supermarket, outdoor seating, areas and cafes, full and self-service car washes, revised A&D, self-service storage, self-storage warehouses, village multiple family site design, removing reference to MOT pedestrian connection requirements. MOT, are we saying Michigan Office of Transportation?
Macomb Orchard Trail.
Macomb Orchard Trail. I was thinking bigger. All right, thank you, Kayla. Macomb Orchard Trail. Garage and yard sales, removing reference to temporary sign requirements. E, residential open space development, open space requirements. Parents' references to open space are amended in 1 and I3I. Close parents. Incorporating the village district design guidelines as Appendix B for the remaining recommended design elements not included within the V1 district regulations, and forward this recommendation to the Township Board of Trustees to be placed on the next available agenda for a final decision. Did I leave anybody out?
Subject to the recommendation of legal counsel.
Subject to recommendation?
Legal
Comments of-
counsel, just for the one clarification.
All of the legal.
Yeah, one clarification.
For the
Christie.
open space definition.
How could
One clarification.
How could one lawyer leave out another? I don't believe it.
I don't
Okay.
feel left out.
Okay. With the provision that Township Council review
No, we just need the one clarification on open space.
to clarify with planning the open space issue. Can we get a second?
Support.
Okay, we can take a roll call there. Dana?
Mr. Sacco?
Yes.
Mr. Chaplin?
Yes.
Mr. Jaski?
Yes.
Ms. Jacobson?
Yes.
Okay, ordinances are moving onward and upward, and we can move onward and upward to old business. I guess we have a postponement here requested by Mr. Seas. Car
that was-
wash?
Sorry, go ahead, I'll let you finish.
No.
I was interrupting.
In fact, I guess we had a public hearing, was going to be their next event, right?
No, we had the public hearing, and this was, they were actually, at the last meeting, it should have been postponed to the July meeting versus the June meeting, so just so that we're consistent, since the motion last month was to postpone it till tonight, I just want to make sure that it's on the appropriate meeting.
That's perfect. We operate under the Open Meetings Act here, and we're keeping our actions on the record. And, okay, well, can I get a motion to postpone the special land use site plan request for Mr. C's Car Wash? Number 9 LLC, parcel number 240411126004. Place this item on the July 10th, 2025 Planning Commission agenda.
Support.
Okay, I think maybe we'll take a roll call again, Dana?
If you would like. I know it's a lengthy roll call. Mr. Sacco?
Yes.
Ms. Jacobson?
Yes.
Mr. Jaski?
Yes.
Mr. Chaplin?
Yes.
Okay, motion to postpone is approved. All right, we can move onward and upward again with our agenda. Not doing too bad, it's only 5 to 8. Next item, project update, and that is President Kozak.
Thank you.
I like on the paper here, it's got President Kozak. President,
You're welcome.
partner, president / partner.
I'm both of those things.
Giffords Webster.
Today I get to talk to you. You might have driven in and passed Newberry South, which is the site just north of the shopping complex there at 26 and Van Dyke. That at a pre-construction meeting a couple weeks ago, and they have started moving earth out there, so that one will get going pretty quickly. That is a retail building up front and multifamily, two buildings in the back. So a good multi-use site there. Cantor Farms, the single-family residential site on the east side of Mound, is nearing road work, paving soon. Utilities, I believe, are all done out there. Viridian phases 2 and 3 were finally approved through engineering and site plan.
I have them ready.
Almost, right? We're so close, right? We're so close. So those will be stamped and signed, and they are working on scheduling a pre-construction meeting for that. Our understanding is that they are planning to construct phases 2 and 3 at the same time, but that is still to be confirmed. Seven Lakes Overlook Trail is the phase there at the northwest corner that's been under construction since last year. Paving work is nearly done there. Earthwork operations are just about complete. The utilities have been done for some time, but that's a large 40-plus single-family units on large lots there. And the Par 4 water main just up the street from there is a township project that is under construction and nearly complete, pretty quick one to run water main. Continuing from Seven Lakes North on the west side of Mound Road, we cross under Mound and then cut through the Par 4 subdivision there to get up to 32 for a future extension that way. We have some homes in there that are already ready to connect and will be connected as a part of the project, and additional fire protection in that area. So, and then lastly is Copperwood Common is an SAD paving project that is still underway. That is off a 32-mile road there, just near the village of Romeo. That was a fully funded SAD by the residents, but obviously the township acted as the bank there. There was no county participation. They are simply bidding and administering and inspecting the project because it is their road.
My mom just walked on it, and it's fantastic.
Oh, great. Glad to hear that.
Good to know.
Michael, you're mentioning 32 mile.
Yeah.
Do you know if the light at 32
Knew you were going to
mile-
ask. Someone was going to ask that question if I talked
Yes.
about anything in that area.
Yeah.
All of that stuff is there and installed. I think they're still testing, energizing, and I've
I've been through there several
The
times.
light is live.
Lights
The
go.
light's live now?
It's
Yes.
live.
Oh, there you go. Okay,
It's
live.
It's
It turns
alive?
green, it's not just the flashing yellow.
There we go.
It's
There's
got all the colors.
arrows. They trimmed all the trees so you can see it from a good distance.
Yeah.
Very
A
nice.
much safer intersection than what everybody can remember in the past.
That's
So
30
great improvement there.
32
Good community work by Bruce and Washington and the Department of Roads on that one, all participating on the costs.
Amen. You can say that again.
Mike, do you know, because I talked to Rich at the last board meeting and he said it was close. The 30-mile pump station, is that on yet, or do you know?
The station is operating. We're still fine-tuning pump operations and timing of things, but yes, it has been operating. It is already helping out during our peak watering times as everybody likes their green lawns in Washington Township. So,
Awesome. Good to see that running.
Yep.
All right, thanks, Mike. John, you're up.
Okay, busy board meeting last time. Lots of money getting moved around. We approved a resolution for notice of intent for a capital improvement bond of $22 million. That's going to cover the fire station, the new fire truck, the DPW garage, and sandwiches, I think, for several people. It's everything we can pack in there, but it's going out to notice, so if everything goes well, we should be able to put that bond out and preserve our cash position and get some money in at a really good rate. So that was nice. We're also purchasing a compact screener for the DPW so they can sift sand because they like doing that. This one, we did approve the sign ordinance after much discussion, and it was a
Lengthy.
I went on and
momentous event.
on and on.
But it was well received. Everyone was very happy with it. So, Township updated their agreement with Robinson Capital to manage our investment funds for another term of years. So they've been around since forever, and our fund manager has been with us since before Robinson Capital had bought them. He was with Ambassador before Robinson Capital, and then they acquired him. So he's the same guy that's been around since, I think
Maybe as long as I've been around.
maybe. Who was treasurer back then? I think he said, was it
Linda.
Linda Varellen?
Yes.
Yes.
So that's how long he's been around. And the The nice lady that was here tonight, Joanne Marino, was reappointed to the library board for another 3-year term. So that's what happened at the last board meeting. All good stuff.
Thanks, John. All right, commission discussion, ordinance text amendments will continue in July. Does that mean they'll continue in July, not tonight?
Or right now.
Right.
Correct.
July.
Just, yeah, it's just saying there are more to come.
More to come.
Stay tuned.
All right, we will be staying tuned. Hopefully next meeting we have a quorum.
Well, we do.
Well, we do now, but the way things are going, it's hard to predict for the next one.
Ron, good to see you back. Thank you.
All right, we'll
Good to be
take that's our discussion. Anything else, Commission, you wanted to take care of here? We are happy to see Ronnie back.
Thank you, Abby, for the strawberries.
You said, Bob, anything for
It
the good of
looks
the
so
order?
good.
Anything for the good strawberry fields for,
Oh, thank you for the strawberry.
Yes. Much.
okay.
And the flips tomorrow.
It smells so good at this meeting. I've just been,
Right?
it's like strawberry.
Shave lotion.
Oh, gosh, no.
Sure, sure.
All right, who's going to make the motion?
Motion to adjourn. You make it.
Motion to adjourn?
I know, we don't have Chair Brick.
Motion to adjourn.
Chair Brick did, okay, in absentia. I got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned.